Hello, my friends. This is Amner Hunter from amnerhunter.com. Thank you very much for being here. In this video, I am gonna test and compare two free equalizers that are inspired and are emulations of a Neve 1073. First, we have the T-RackS EQ81 by IK Multimedia. This plugin is available for free for a limited time till the end of the month. And I am gonna compare it with the Analog Obsession BritChannel. I am gonna walk you through the features of these plugins. Also, I wanna analyze the harmonic content that they generate. And finally, I am gonna check out these plugins in some elements in a mix, also some before and after tests. As usual, all of the applicable links are going to be down below in the description and first comments. And don't forget to check out the timestamps as well that I leave you down below. Before we dive deep into the content, my friends, I would like to invite you to my website, amnerhunter.com, where I have some freebies for you. I have some free PDF guides and ebooks for music producers and guitar players. Also, I have some free tools available, a huge collection of guitar impulses, some presets of some plugins that I use, my Cubase mixing template, among other utilities. And finally, don't forget to check out my blog and this channel, which I'm updating weekly with tons of free content. So now let's get straight into the video. Let's take a look first at the T-RackS EQ81. This T-RackS is an emulation of the evolution of that famous equalizer. First of all, you have here mid-side processing, which by the way on the Analog Obsession plugin doesn't come with mid-side processing. You can choose left and right. You can also process the mid-side. I am gonna be using it here. You have a little bit more control here on the T-RackS EQ81 than in the Analog Obsession. Let's take a look here. You have 4 bands that you can affect. You have the low band, 33 Hz, all the way up to 330. You choose the frequency here and you boost or cut with this knob, positive or negative. You also can use this band as a bell curve, clicking on this button, or as a shelf by default if you turn off this button, right? This is the shelf. Then we move on with the low mid band. Here you can affect from 220 Hz all the way up to 1.2 kilohertz or 1200. And this is a bell curve, boost and cut to the left. You can use also a high Q, which is a narrower Q curve, or a wider curve if you have it off. Then we move on with the mid-high frequencies from 1.5 kilohertz all the way up to 8.2 kilohertz, right? You can also affect it as a bell curve, boost or cut with this knob, and high Q or wide Q turned off. And the last band is the high end frequencies from 3.3 kilohertz all the way up to 15K that you can affect, right? You can use it also as a bell curve by clicking on this button, or as a shelf, this shape. You have the attenuation control here to boost or cut. You can choose line level or microphone preamp, where you can introduce some analog saturation and harmonic distortion. You can crank this knob to add more input to the signal and to distort a little bit. I suggest you here, if you do this on this plugin, turn it up, but also turn down the output to compensate, all right? This, by the way, in the Analog Obsession plugin, it's by default. It has gain compensation already. And lastly, here we have a high pass filter and low pass filter. The knob around the blue button, it's for the high pass all the way up to 270 Hz, and the knob in blue is for the low pass. You can low pass till 3.9 kilohertz. You can turn off and turn on the EQ here. You have a phase flip button here. You can also undo some actions, and you can set different parameters here and compare each one of these. This is the BritChannel by Analog Obsession. It has less knobs and less frequency control than the T-RackS, but let's start here at the top. You have a high shelf. It doesn't let you control the frequency that you are affecting. You only know that this is on the high end. This knob is to boost or cut, like that. And then you have a bell curve here on the mid-high frequencies. You can affect here from 3.6 kilohertz all the way up to 7.2 kilohertz, and this is the knob for attenuate or boost. Then we move on with the low shelf, which by the way, you cannot set these parameters to bell curves. They are only shelves. This is the low shelf. You can affect from 35 hertz all the way up to 220 in the low end. This is the knob to boost or cut. We move on to the high pass filter. It doesn't come with a low pass filter as the other EQ, from 50 hertz, fixed, 80, 160, and 300, right? You cannot choose frequencies in between. Then here at the bottom, you have a gain control to add harmonic saturation by increasing this, and you can turn on the mic preamp to add a little bit of the Neve coloration to the sound. If you double click on any control, you reset the settings by default, something that in the T-RackS EQ is not available. Then you have the trim control to compensate, basically to gain stage the input and output. If you click in the Analog Obsession logo, it will enable oversampling, which by the way in the other EQ is not available, that option. Now let's check out the harmonic saturation that these plugins add to the signal. I am generating a sine wave at 500 hertz. I'm gonna turn on the T-RackS EQ81 to see if it adds any harmonics. It's not generating harmonics till the moment that I start to introduce input. You see how it's introducing harmonics. The frequency spectrum, by default, it's not generating any. Let's check out the Analog Obsession BritChannel. The plugin is set by default. I'm gonna turn it on. It generates harmonics at the moment I turn on the plugin, right? And I am not using any of these knobs or anything. I am not cranking this knob. If you crank this knob, it will create more prominent harmonics. The more you increase this knob, it has more coloration than the other one. So now let's check out these plugins in action in some elements in a mix. I am basically using the same parameters, just 2 to 3 EQ moves, just to improve a little bit the sound. It's amazing how 2 or 3 EQ moves can make a big difference in the sound and can improve it a lot. One thing that I like about these plugins in particular is that you can exaggerate the high end and it doesn't sound harsh. It sounds musical, it sounds pleasant to the ear. So that's one thing that I like about analog EQ plugins like this. Here in the drums, I am boosting 2.0 decibels at 56 hertz. I am also taking away 2 decibels at 680. I am also using a high shelf 2.0 decibels at 10K. I am increasing the input and compensating with the output like this. The same in the BritChannel. I am increasing the input and mic preamplification, a high pass filter close to this. Also, I am boosting in the lows. I am taking away 2 decibels at 700 hertz, close to 680 here, and I am applying a high shelf here of 2 decibels like in this case. Let's take a listen. In the guitars, I am also EQing a little bit, very subtle moves. I am using a high pass filter at 82 hertz here. I am adding some inputs and compensating with the output here. I am also adding 1.2 decibels at 6.8 kilohertz. Also high shelf 2.7 decibels at 6.8 again. And I am applying this here on the BritChannel. It is worth mentioning that the BritChannel doesn't have the same frequencies to choose from here, so I chose some similar frequencies. Adding 2 decibels here, also a high pass filter at 80 hertz, almost like this, 82. Adding some input for a little bit of harmonics. Let's take a listen now. And the lead vocals, I am adding also some input and compensating with the output. I have a high pass filter at 82 Hertz. I am also cutting some of the muddiness at 220, just 2 decibels, and I am also using a high shelf 2.2 decibels at 10K to add some of that brightness to the vocals. And let's see here the BritChannel. I am using a high pass filter at 82, taking away some decibels at 220. Also, I am adding 2.2 decibels here in the high end as a form of high shelf. Let's take a listen.
The blood is on your hand. This is our time. No more excuses. We can change this. This is our time to break this down. No more excuses. We can change. The blood is on your hand.
Also, I am using some equalization on the master channel to enhance the full mix a little bit. I am using a low shelf at 56 Hertz to add some weight. I am also cutting 2 decibels at 390 Hertz. I found some boxy frequencies here, and I am also boosting 1.0 decibels at 10K with a high shelf. I am boosting a little bit the input and compensating it with the output here. I am not using high pass filter, so let's take a listen.
Blood is on your hand. This is our time. No more excuses. We can change this. This is our time to break this down. Blood is on your hand. This is our time. No more excuses. We can change this. This is our time to break this down. No more excuses. We can take.
Please let me know down below in the comments, my friend, what are your thoughts on this equalizers? Do you have a favorite? Have you tried one of these? What is your experience using these types of analog emulation plugins? Before we go, my friends, I would like to invite you to my website, amnorhunter.com, where I have some freebies for you. I have some free PDF guides and ebooks for music producers and guitar players. Also, I have some free tools available, a huge collection of guitar impulses, my Cubase mixing template, among other utilities. And finally, don't forget to check out my blog and this channel, which I'm updating weekly with tons of free content. Thank you very much for watching the video. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it very much. I'll see you very soon on the next one. All right? Take care.